Um, Hi everyone, welcome back to Android Study Jams. This is Aditya, and today we'll be completing the final session of the track. Also one more thing, I'll be assuming that you guys have already completed all the previous sessions, or like in Android Study Jams, you have completed at least first six tracks, because like I won't be covering a lot of basic things in this session. Um, because like it's a really big project and it won't be possible to cover everything from scratch in 1.5 hours. So like if you have not completed those things, first just go back and complete them. Um, so I'll be copying and pasting a lot of things. So make sure you have completed all the previous things. Um, cool. So let's actually look at what we'll be building today. So in 2020 I started reading books. So like specifically non-fictional books. And like but the thing was my vocabulary is really weak and I had to like Google 5 6 times on a particular page. So like when I'm reading a particular book on a page, I had to like go back to my phone, go to Google search on for the meaning and like go through search results, and it was really a tedious process. Like it used to break my focus and all. So like if you know about Google's Playbook app, so it's used to read PDFs and ebooks. But apart from that, it has a really cool feature where like if you don't know the meaning of a particular word, you can just tap on the word and like there'll be a pop-up containing the meaning of the word. Um, but like the thing is, a lot of us like prefer reading books physically, right? And so I was like, can we do something while reading books physically as well? The same, like tap on the word and there should be a pop-up with the meaning of the word. So I came up with the idea, why can't we just capture an image of the book page and just keep tapping on the word and then there should be a pop-up which like contain the meaning. So I'll just show you how the app looks. So you have a page, you take a picture, and like we'll use as Microsoft Azure's optical character recognition to extract texts and all. And suppose, for instance, you don't know the meaning of the word interval. So just tap on the word and it will show you the selected word and click on find meaning and it will just give you the meaning of the word. And like it's not same as the Playbook app, but like it makes the process a lot easier. So like I use it in my day-to-day life. um, cool. So now let's look at for how we'll be achieving this, how we'll be doing this. So for character recognition, obviously we'll use Microsoft Azure Computer Vision API. So I'll just show you. So go to Google and just search or just search Computer Vision API. Click on the first link. So you can use this computer vision thing with a lot of things, but you can use it with like to extract text or understand image objects and stuff detect. So like for instance in this image there is a train and a person, so the ML model will return you something like it detects a train with a confidence of 0.99. So confidence is basically like to what intent it thinks that the object is actually a train. So just multiply it by 100 and it should it the model is saying like the train is, it thinks that there is a 99.7% chance that this object is a train. um we won't be using this, we'll be using the OCR thing. So if you just scroll down um and go to documentation, so there are tutorials and concepts. So if you go to concept, we have optical character recognition. So what this does is, for each of the word it detects, it draws a bounding box and like it returns us the coordinates of top left corner and the width and the height of the box. So with these four values, we can calculate the coordinates of all four corners. So here we, so it's like just a second. Cool. So for each of the for each of the word, it just draws a bounding box, and it'll like return like I'll just show you. It returns us a JSON file where it won't return these eight values. It will return the X and Y of the top left corner of the box, and it will return the width and the height. With these four values, we can calculate all four corners of the box. And this is how we'll be detecting the like so wherever the user has tapped on the screen, we'll take the coordinates and we will match with all the coordinates that we have the which the Azure detects, and like we'll search across them to know which word actually the user has tapped. So you can use REST APIs and all with this, but like Microsoft Azure also provides you with the client library. So if you scroll down and click on the first link, um, so it provides you a library in a lot of languages like C Sharp, Python, Java. We'll be using the Java library since um, so we'll be developing our project in Kotlin, but still like since Kotlin is interoperable with Java, which means like you can mix Java and Kotlin codes. For that reason, we'll be using Java code. So I'll be telling you. So this is the dependency that you'll need to include in your Android project to use this client library. Um, Also, to use this API, you'll need a subscription to Microsoft Azure, which is like free for students. You won't need any credit card or stuff. So I'll just show you how to do that. Um, Go to this GitHub website, education.github.com/students, and there are a lot of benefits which are free for students, um, like like Canva and stuff, and Microsoft Azure. They also provide you $100 credit. Also, if you don't have the account right now, I'll be sharing my subscription key and endpoint with you all. So for this session, you can go on with it, but otherwise, like, you'll need an account. So like here, just go to get your pack and like provide your college email ID, the email ID provided by college. That way, like your application will be accepted, like in a day or two. So I already have this one, so I'll just launch my portal. So go to portal and cool. So here click on create resource and search for computer vision. Then click create. I mean this I'm doing all these after like getting my student pack. So here I have a subscription for Azure for students, so it will be free for me. Then like create a resource group. If you are creating this for the first time, you'll have to click like create a new one. So a resource group is basically, for instance, like in a particular project, you might need like more than one API, right? So it's just a way to like arrange APIs in a good manner. So like create a new resource group. I already have many of them. So like Dictran, I'll um select the region according to the region you are in and give it a name, and pricing tier select free. So even if you have a student subscription or not, the 20 calls per minute and 5,000 calls per month is free. Or even if you select anything which costs you, like you have $100, you can use them. So I won't be creating it because like I already have one. So I'll just show you my resource. So this is the key that we'll be using in our project, and this is the endpoint. Just copy and paste these two things, and also the location. Cool. This will use to like extract the text. Now to find meaning of the word, we'll use the Oxford API. So search for Oxford API. For like a prototype project, it's free. So like 1,000 requests per month, it's free. After that, you will have they'll charge you. For our project, we'll request a lot less than 1,000 requests. So like you all you have to do is get started, create account, and it will generate an API key. Um, so like if I go to documentation, sorry. So this is how it'll go. So app ID I'll share with you mine. On the app key same. And this is the URL, and you'll have to specify what language you want your definition in, a backslash key, and the actual word which you want to find meaning of. Also the word should be in lowercase letter. Cool. So let's now actually start building our project. So for this project, I've created a starter code. So like I'll just drop the link, or the link is in the description as well. So the starter project has all the basics things like that we won't need to like write again. So just download this code, download zip, mm, extract it. So now fire your Android Studio. Uh, Go to files. So there should be a drop down menu. OBS for some reason like doesn't capture these drop down menus. There should be a drop down menu. Go to new, then new import project, and like find the project that you have included and just create a new window capture. Wait. So there should be a menu like this. Like find your extracted project. Uh, this one, it is. Go to session 5 and click on Vision Starter Code and click import. Okay. Cool. So Gradle build is running. Meanwhile, like if you guys have any doubt until then, so it's done. So I'll just give you a brief tour of the starter code, what all I have included. So there's nothing in the Java folder, but in the rest folder, if you could see like the NM folder, this contains all the animations that you'll need, like whenever we navigate from within different fragments, we'll need these animations, and like I've included a PNG file for the speaker icon, a couple of fonts, some values in the strings.xml file, and tweaked the themes somewhat. Cool. Also, a very important thing, like a lot of dependencies that we'll need in this project, I've already included them. Like the Microsoft Azure client library, or like the Dexter thing, the view models, live data, coroutines, all of the libraries are already included. I'll explain each of these dependency as we go ahead in our project. Um, Cool. So now let's actually start building our project. So in this project, we will be using fragments instead of activities, because um um uh like in the previous session I covered fragments, so I thought like it will be easier for you guys to like understand it in fragments. So just click on fragment starter code, right click. There should be a pop-up. Click on new and go to fragments and click fragment blank. Um, so there'll be a pop-up. Yeah, it's visible. Um, Name it Azure API, sorry, Azure Fragment. Cool. So Android Studio generates a lot of boilerplate codes for us. We won't need a lot of these. So delete everything. We'll just keep on create view, except that we'll delete everything. The companion object as well. Um, nice. So now we'll be in our project, we'll be using data binding. For that, there are multiple steps. First, you will need to like in the build.gradle app level file, you'll need to specify data binding enabled equals true. So like if you are building this project from scratch, it won't be there, but like I have included it in the starter project. So you'll have to specify the data binding is enabled. Next up, to use this layout as a data binding, you'll have to like wrap this whole thing in a tag that is layout. So go to code and I'll just wrap this whole thing in the layout tag. Cool. So now if we go back to like, now we'll need to like actually inflate this layout. The fragment Azure layout. So just go back to Azure fragment and first we'll start with declaring a variable for our data binding. So we'll do late init var binding, which is of the type fragment Azure binding something. Cool. Now we'll inflate the layout. For that, we'll do some binding. We'll use the data binding util class dot inflate. Here we'll start with passing the inflator which is passed to us in the onCreate view as an attribute. So we'll do inflator. Next up, we'll pass it the actual ID of the layer that we want to inflate. So we'll do r dot id dot r dot layout dot the name of the layout that we want to inflate. So it's fragment Azure. And next up, we'll pass it a container. So the container means what view group we want this view to be attached to. So the view container is also passed to us in the onCreate view. So we'll pass it that and we'll pass it false. So this false because like we don't want this view to attach itself to its parent. Also like is my font visible or should I increase the font size or something? Wait. Hmm. This seems cool. Huh. So we have inflated the layout, but like instead of using this return statement, we'll instead use do something like binding dot root. We'll return this value. Cool. So now we are all set with data binding. Um, Next up, let's design the front end of our app. So go to the fragment Azure layout. We'll start with, we won't use frame layout in our app. We'll use constraint layout. So just right click on this thing and click convert view and select constraint layout. Um, we also won't need this, don't need this text view for now. Just delete it. Um, Cool. So we'll start with adding an image view. So like whenever the user captures an image, it should display the image with this image view. So they click image view and drag and drop it here. So Android has this. Okay, I'll just show you. So Android has this feature where like if you go to code, so all these attributes specified with the tools library. What this means is like all these things will be visible on our screen when you are actually like designing the UI, but like when you run your app, it won't be visible. So like here in so here as well, like this image is visible for now while we are designing it, but like when you actually run it, it won't be visible. So it's just here to like help us design our layout. Cool. So we'll consider its top to the top of the parent, its left to the left of the parent, and its bottom to the bottom. Um, we'll do the same from our side. Um, Next up, we'll give it a margin of 200 dp at bottom. So what this will do is whatever screen there, whatever screen size you run this app on, it'll like leave 200 dp at the bottom. And then what we want is leave 200 dp at the bottom and then fill the leftover space. So here in layout width, change it to 0 dp, and for the height as well, change it to 0 dp. So it will leave 200 dp and fill the rest of the space with the image view. So like if I rotate my screen, see it leaves 200 dp no matter what screen size you run it on, and it'll like take the rest of the screen size. um cool. So now we'll attach another constraint layout inside this constraint layout. So go to layout and search for constraint layout, drag and drop it just below image view. Constrain its top to the bottom of the image view, constrain its left to the left. Do the same from all sides. um And we'll do the same for this as well. Like we'll set its width and height to 0 dp. Hmm. We'll do the same. Cool. So now it works. Whatever leftover space, it will take it. Next up, we'll need a text view to display the selected word, whatever word the user has tapped on. So like go to text view, drag and drop it, and then we'll need a floating action button. So the floating button, so whenever the user taps on it, it launches a camera intent. Um, but to use like floating button, you'll first need to add a vector asset. So just click on res, right click new, and click on vector asset. In the clip art here, click on it and search, wait, so here search for add. Click on this add icon and click OK. Next. Finish. So what this will do it is it like include a vector asset in your drawable folder. So this IC baseline add 24, it's the vector asset. Um, cool. So go to buttons and select floating action button, drag and drop it here. Now it will ask you for the vector asset that you have just included. Click OK. Cool. So this is our floating action button. Um, we'll start with creating a chain between these two. So like, sorry. Constraint it's the text view stop with the bottom of image view and the bottom of the floating button with the bottom of the parent. Next up, like select both of these views, right click or click chains and click create vertical chain. What this will do it will like divide the space equally and arrange the views according to it. Cool. So I'll just give it a left constraint to the parent left, and the same for the floating button. I'll give it first, like in the text view, I'll give it a margin from all sides. So select text view and give it a margin of 16 dp from all the sides. I'll do the same from the bottom. Do the same for the floating action button as well. So like first I'll constrain its left to the left of the text view. I'll give it a top margin of 16 and a bottom margin of 16. This looks cool. Next up, we'll need a button to like whenever the user clicks on find meaning, it should launch our meaning fragment. So click on button, drag and drop it here. I'll just constrain its left to the left of the right to the right of the parent and its bottom. I'll constrain its bottom to the bottom of this floating button, its top with the top of this text view. Next up, I'll create a chain between this text view and this button. So just select both of these, right click, chains, and click create horizontal chain. It'll again distribute accordingly. Um, cool. So one thing, like we actually don't know the length of the word selected, right? I mean, could be 2 characters long or like 10 characters long. We don't know it. So Android Studio has this feature, like depending on the length of the word, it'll like change the text size according to it automatically. We don't have to specify the text size personally. So go to code, text view, and here do like auto size text type to uniform. Um, cool. Now I'll go to design and like I'll set its width and height to 0 dp so that like it again fills all the left space. So I'll do 0 dp and the same with height. I'll do the same with the button as well. It's set its width to 0 dp and its height to 0 dp, not height actually. Cool. So also like give the button margin from all the sides. So I'll give it a left of 16 or top of 16. I'll do the same with the text view as well. Give it a right margin of 16 dp. Um, cool. So this looks fine to me. So like if I rotate my screen, this should be cool. Cool. So everything is still arranged. This is the benefit of using constraint layout. Like you don't have to worry about like what is the device size. It like automatically arrange itself according to the screen size. I'll just change the background of this button to black, sorry, white. So I'll change the background tint to white. Nice, this looks cool. Now we need to give ID to all the views that we have. So to the image view, I'll give captured image. Um, to the text view, I'll do selected word. Same with the button. Button, I'll give find meaning button. And this I'll do launch camera button. Cool. So we are done with our front end for our Azure fragment. Um, Next up, we'll look. So whenever the user clicks on the floating button, it should launch a camera. So first, to use a camera in our app, we'll need to like define some permissions. So like user needs to give some permissions to us, because like when we capture an image from camera, it needs to get saved on the storage space, right? So like we'll need a write external storage permission. Also, like to display the same image in our image view, we'll need a read external storage read external storage permission. And to use camera itself, we'll also need a camera permission. So we'll go to our manifest file, and here we'll declare all the things that we are using in this app. So we'll start with declaring a read external, not uses feature. We'll start with write external storage. Then we'll do read external storage. And it needs camera as well. So cool. So in also in our app, we'll be using something known as camera 2, which is like a feature provided by Android, newer versions of Android. So we'll need to declare that in the manifest file as well. So we'll do uses of feature Android name. Um, Android dot hardware dot camera 2. Cool. So we are good to go now. Now we'll set an on-click listener to the floating action button so that whenever the user taps on it, it launch a camera intent. Oh, okay. Sorry. One more thing. Like before starting it, we'll be using something known as MVVM in our project, Model View Model. It was like in the sixth track of Android Study Jams. So first we'll create a view model for our Azure fragment. So just click on Vision Starter Project, New, um, Kotlin class, and we'll name it Azure View Model. Then we'll need to extend it to the view with the view model class. So we'll do view model, and also to use the view model, you will have to include a dependency in your app. So like I have included it here, the view model.kdx file. Um, cool. So next up, we'll need let's declare some variables that we'll need in our project. So I'll just copy and paste the variables that we'll need in the Azure view model. Um, so just import all these statements. Sorry. Cool. So now we need to like initialize this view model in our Azure fragment. So go to Azure fragment. We'll start with creating a variable to store our view model. So we'll do late init var uh, view model. It is of the type Azure view model. And like after declaring the binding of our class, we'll do view model equal to view model providers. um, then we'll do off, and then we'll pass it the context. So I'll just explain in a second. So we'll do get, and we'll pass it the name of the view model, so it's Azure view model, and we'll do class dot java. Nice. So this context is there to like tell this fragment, tell the view model that what fragment it is associated with. So here this means this actual fragment, the Azure fragment. So we need to pass it. Cool. So we'll also need something known as camera request. So we'll declare a new variable named val um my cam uh, camera request code. Its value could be anything. I'll just set it to 717. Nice. So now we'll need to like declare a function. So like to uh we'll start with setting an on click listener to the floating button. So we'll do binding dot launch camera button dot set on click listener on, and here we'll declare a function that will pass it here. So the function will declare in the Azure fragment itself. So let's name it launch camera. We won't pass it anything. um cool. So like we need permissions, right? So like to show a pop-up to the user to like grant access to all those permission, we'll be using a library that is known as Dexter. So also the Dexter library I've already included in the build.gradle file. So this dependency is the Dexter thing. Cool. So here we'll do Dexter dot with context, and we'll pass the context of the app. So we'll do context. It's a function in Android as already. Um, Next up, we'll pass it all the permissions that we have, and we'll pass it a list of all the permissions that we have. So we'll do list of um and then like pass it all of the permissions. So here for the first permission we have is we'll do android dot manifest dot permissions dot read external storage. Um Next up we'll do the same, we'll pass it the right external storage. So I'll just copy and paste this thing, change it to right. um and then we'll pass it the camera permission. So I'll again just dot manifest dot permission dot camera. um so this should be fine. We'll also pass it listeners. I'll just copy the paste copy and paste this code. Why is it giving me an error? I'll just import all these things. uh, hmm, with permission, what is the error? I still don't know what the error was. Never mind. So I'll just explain this code. So I'll just explain what this code is doing. Whenever this function is called, first it call the Dexter library and like get all the permissions from the user. So you'll have a pop-up where like you'll have to click allow and all these things. Then we'll set a listener. So like what user has selected, yes or no, and depending on that, like if the user has not selected all the permission, it'll like give you a toast message saying that you need to accept all the permissions. If user has selected or given all the permissions, we'll like um, we'll start with putting some values in the captured image, so like new picture and like description of the taken picture and all those things, and then we'll like launch the camera itself. So like if the and we'll also pass the my camera request code, so the code that we have, the code sorry, the variable that we have declared here. Nice. So next up we'll be calling this function, so I'll pass this very function in the on set on click listener. So here we'll just do launch camera. um nice, so this should be fine. So now whenever you click on the floating button, it should just work fine. I mean like it'll launch a camera. And first we'll ask for permissions and then launch the camera. Um, Cool. So let's also first thing we forgot about one thing, like the fragment that we have created to display it to the main activity. So what we'll be using Nav Host Fragment. So what it is, it is basically like it's like an adapter that will be there in the main activity, and like it will do the work of switching between different navigations. To do that, first we'll need to create a file, res file, that is navigation. So click on res, new, Android resource file. We'll name it navigation, and we'll set its value to the type navigation. Cool. Click OK. Here, just click on this plus icon and import the Azure fragment that we have just created. That's it. That's all we need to do for now. Now, like, we'll need to specify the adapter in the activity main.xml file. So go to activity main.xml file, go to code. We don't need this text view for now, so just delete it. We'll surround our Nav Host fragment in in a linear layout. So we'll do linear layout, set its width to match parent, its height to match parent as well, and its orientation we'll set to vertical. Here we'll specify our fragment, so we'll set its width to match parent and height to match parent as well. We'll give it an ID of something like nav host fragment. Um, and we'll need to like give it a name. So we'll do first Android name, and we'll pass it Android X dot navigation dot fragment dot nav host. So I'll just check for type performance. Android X navigation fragment nav host fragment. Cool. So this looks cool. We'll also need to specify what navigation graph we are using. So we'll do app nav graph equal to navigation slash navigation. We'll also set its default nav. Uh, we'll do default nav host fragment. Um, we'll just do default nav host and we'll set it to true. So what this means is, I'll just explain. So there might be more than one fragment in your app, right? So like you need to tell the activity main that what fragment it should respond to when like the user clicks on the back button. So whenever the user clicks on back button, what fragment actually navigates? I mean, what nav host fragment actually navigates? We just have one fragment, so it's not a worry, but like we'll need to specify still that it is the default nav host fragment. Um, cool. So we are good with our displaying our fragment. Now, like we have created a launch camera, but what happens when like the camera actually sends us some data? So there is a method in Android Studio already that is known as on activity result. So whenever the camera in activity will close, it will pass some data and we'll extract it through on activity result method. So go to Azure fragment. Inside the uh, uh, inside the on create view or anywhere, just click control O, and from the pop-up search for on activity result. So this is the method that will pass us the data. So this data is the data passed by camera to us. So first we'll check if the request code matches to our camera request code. So we'll do if. So the request code that is passed in this method, this request code, if this matches with our request code, so we'll do request code um equals my camera request code, and then we'll check if the request uh, if the result code is equal to result okay. So this checks if like everything is okay with the data. So we'll do request code, sorry, result code is equal to result okay. You'll have to import this, I guess. Yeah. Cool. So now we'll so in the view model, if you go back to Azure view model, I have declared a variable m selected image, which is of the type bitmap. So we'll start with initializing that variable. So whatever data is passed to us, we'll first like set the view models m selected image to that data. So we'll do view model dot m selected image equals to, we'll use a library that is known as media store, um dot images dot media, and we'll pass it get bitmap. So this is the function that will actually get the bitmap for us. We need to pass it the context. So the main activity context we will pass, and we'll do context resolver. Um, we'll also need to pass it the URI of the image, the location where the image is stored in our phone. So we'll do view model dot image URI, and we'll pass it to exclamation marks, because like this image URI could be blank, because like there could be some errors while capturing the image, and the image might not have been saved. For that reason we'll need to specify these two exclamation marks. um Also, one thing I forgot, we'll surround this with try catch block. So what try catch block is, like whatever code is inside it, it'll try to run it. If it doesn't run, it won't crash your app. It'll like just give you a toast message or print the error message in your log files. So I'll just cut this and paste it here, and we'll do catch e exception. Nice. So here we'll pass, we'll print the error message to our log file, as well as we'll give the user a toast message. So we'll do make text. We'll need to pass it the context. So we'll pass the main activity context, and we'll show the error message that like error getting image from the camera app or something. Next, we'll need to pass it the duration, like for how much duration this toast should be visible to on the screen. So we'll do toast dot length long. So there are two, length long or length short, and just length long. And then you'll have to call show. So this will actually show this toast on the screen. Um, cool. So now we have the image which is stored in our view model in the variable known as mSelected image. um now let's try to like actually show this image in our Azure fragment. So after this, after like setting this m selected image, we'll do binding dot captured image dot set image bitmap, and we'll pass it the actual image. So we'll do view model dot m selected image. Cool. So this should try to set the image. Also, since this is also inside the try block, it will try to run this code. If it doesn't run, it will just give you a toast message. So your app won't crash. So if you don't surround this with try catch block, like your app will just crash. It will like just close. Android will close it. Um, Cool. Also, one more thing, like since we are specifying we don't know the size of our image view, right? Like it depends on the size of the device. Because like it leaves 200 dp at the bottom and takes rest of the space. For that reason, like the actual like image captured and the actual image showed on the screen, the size of both these things might differ. For that reason, we need to resize our actual image. So in the view model, Azure view model, here we'll define a function that will like actually resize our image. So we'll call it resize image view. Yeah, so we'll call it resize image view. We'll pass it two variables. The first one is height, which is of the type int, and then we'll pass it width, which is also of the type int. Um, what we'll do is we'll take the m selected image and set its value to, so we'll use a library that is bitmap, okay, and a function that is called create scaled bitmap. Here we'll pass it the image that we want to scale, so we'll pass m selected image. Next we'll need to pass it the width and height that we want to set it to. Also, like, the selected image could be null, like when we are actually calling this object, like there are some error in the data getting from like for an instance we are not able to capture the image, and after that, like when the on activity result would still call the resize image view, but like since we don't have the image, it could be null and like app would just crash. So here we'll just pass it these two things, exclamation mark, so this ensures that this is not null. If it's null, your like app won't crash. Nice. Next we'll need to pass it the width and the height, so we'll do width and height. So this is the width and height that we want to resize the image to. We'll also need to pass it a boolean true. So this boolean means like, do you want to apply a filter to it or not? We'll set it to true. Now from Azure Fragment, we'll actually call this thing. So we'll do view model dot resize image view. We'll need to pass it the width and the height of the image view. Okay, so it was width height or height width. It's height width. Cool. So here we'll do binding dot captured image dot height, and then we'll pass it binding dot um captured image dot width. Nice. So this will resize our image. So we are done with launching a camera intent, taking the picture, displaying in our view image view, and like resizing it. Now we need to like do stuffs. Now we need to actually recognize all the characters in our app. So we'll start with declaring a variable on that is computer vision client type variable. So go to Azure view model, and here we'll declare a variable. So we'll do late in var, since we'll be initializing it later. Or we'll do com vision client, um which is yeah, it is of the type comp vision client. um Cool. So now is to like initialize it. First, we'll declare function as well, and we'll surround it with the try catch block as well. Because like so this we'll be using to authenticate our subscription key and the endpoint, and like there might be some errors while doing that. So that's why we'll surround it with the try catch block. So let's start with declaring a function. So we'll do fun. We'll name it Azure API. We won't pass it anything, and then we'll start with the try catch block. So in the try catch block, we'll do comp vision computer vision client. Actually, we'll change it to comp vision client. And we'll initialize it to, first we'll use the computer vision manager library that is there in the dependency which we included with the Azure thing. Not vision, it's manager. Then we'll do authenticate, and in the authenticate function we'll pass it the subscription key. Then we'll pass it the endpoint, so the basic strings that was there. The endpoint I have declared here, so this is the endpoint, and we'll pass it the endpoint. Nice. So if there are some errors, we'll just log the error message in our log file. So we'll do exception and we'll do e dot print stack trace. Nice. Now let's talk about the search algorithms that we'll be using in this app. So so we have first we'll create a list of all the words that are detected by the Azure thing. So suppose like also my drawing is really bad, so like just bear with me. So suppose this is our list of words. So this is the zeroth index. This is the first, second, third, fourth, something like that. Suppose the first word is stuff. So we'll store the actual word in this list and we'll create another list which is a list of lists. So this list will have a list of lists, like this is the list and every index will have a list like this which will contain 4 values. So for stuff which is at the zeroth index, we'll at the zeroth index as well, we'll like store the x, y and width and height of the word. So the x, the y, the width and the height. So like first we'll search across also like suppose this is our screen and like this is our word. This is the bounding box for that word which I like mentioned earlier. Suppose the user clicks here, we have this value and x and y and the height and width. With those height and width we'll calculate the x and y of this corner. We'll do x1 and y1. Suppose the user clicks here, this is a and b. If you would notice, like this a should be greater than x and should be less than this x, and this b would be greater than this y and would be less than this y. So this is what we'll do. We'll go through all the coordinates in our list and like check um, if this condition specify like the a is greater than x and less than x1 and b is less than b is greater than x b is greater than y and less than y1. If that condition specify means that user has clicked on this word, we'll like show on the screen this word. Cool. So let's go back to our Android Studio and implement the project. We'll start with declaring some variables. So I'll just copy and paste these variables here. OCI result is an object type which is included in the Azure library. So we'll declare a list of word, which is a mutable list of string types, and we'll declare a list of coordinates, which is a list of lists. So it is a mutable list of type int. This is the object that will store our whole string, the object that is returned by Microsoft Azure API, and this is the variable to store the selected word. Cool. So now we'll be using coroutines. So a coroutine, so like in earlier versions of Android, we used to use like something known as or what async task. So like the thing is like whenever you are trying to access internet on your phone, so there is something known as thread in Android. So a thread is basically where like all the computation and things are done in your app. Um, so whenever you like try to do networking tasks, it might take some times, right? And if you do it on the main thread, it will block it. Block it means until like it doesn't get the request, it will block the main thread, and like all the other code execution of all the left code will be paused. So Android doesn't let you to like do networking call on the main thread. So earlier we used to do async task, which like used to create another thread, like the main thread there was, and it used to create another thread where like all the networking tasks used to go on, and like after it used to get the results, we used to merge it with the main thread and like get all the values. But there were a lot of errors and it was really bad using async task. Like a lot of times the app used to crash. So Android, like the Android team came up with this new thing that is known as coroutines. Um, Coroutines basically, instead of creating a different thread, it like so you might have heard of this data structure stacks. So it pushes that function to stack. It continues executing all the code like as normal, and just pushes that function to the stack. And after that function is done, like getting the networking call and all those things, then it merges its with the main thread. I mean, it's still in the main thread. It has nothing to do with threads and all. um, to use coroutines, first you'll need to declare dependencies. So you'll need to declare the Android and core dependencies here. Um, so in the where were we? Azure View model, we'll start with. So since this Azure API and all these things is like getting network requests and solves, so we'll be using coroutines here as well. So the key thing is a coroutine function start with the keyword suspend. So we'll do suspend fun, and let's name this function network request. We'll pass it nothing, and so this function is where we'll start with calling the Azure API. So it'll authenticate and store it in the Convision client. So we'll do Azure API. Um, Next, um, here is where like we'll be passing our image to the API, the Azure API. So we'll start with converting our image into a stream of bytes. I mean, first we'll need to create an array with like, so an image is basically a 2D array of like ones and zeros. So we'll need to first create a byte stream of our image. So we'll do val output stream. Um, Equal to, we'll use a library that is byte array output stream. um Next we'll do m selected image, check if it's null or not, and then compress it first. We'll use a bitmap library. Compress format, we'll specify what format like our image is of. Is it PNG, is it JPG, what is it? Then we'll pass it 100 to like compress it, all of it, 100% of it, and then pass it the output stream that we have created just now. So it will compress it and pass it to this output stream. Next we'll create a variable for our input stream. So this will get the result from the API. So we'll do um sorry, this is where like we'll pass the output stream to the input stream. So we'll do again use bytes array input, but this time we'll use byte array input stream, and we'll pass it the function output stream, and we'll convert it to byte array. um cool. So this is it. Next up, we'll need to, so this, all these things, like we don't need to surround it in try catch block, but next, like when it is actually getting the requests, so there might be some errors with our API, like the API is actually deprecated or stuffs. For that reason, we'll need to like surround it with try catch block. So we'll do try. Inside the try catch block, we'll pass it val local uh, image bytes, equals to, we'll use the byte stream dot 2 byte array, and we'll pass it the input stream. Um, Now the OCR character result, the OCR result local variable that we created, we need to initialize it. So we'll do com vision client um dot computer vision API. It has a method computer vision, and we'll pass it the function that we want to do. So we want to recognize texts, not objects. We want to recognize texts. So we'll do recognize um printed texts in stream. So since we are passing it a stream of values, we'll do recognize printed text in stream. Next, we'll pass it that do we want to like detect orientation as well as not. So we do want to detect orientation as well. So we'll set it to true, and we'll pass it with image, and we'll pass the byte stream of our image. So we'll pass it local by image byte stream, and next up we'll need to specify the language. So we'll do OCR languages.en since we want it in English, and then we'll call the execute function. So this will actually execute all these things. Cool. So all these things that we have done, if there are any error, we'll surround it with catch block. We'll do exception. um we'll just print the error message on our log console. Cool. So this thing will actually like make the API requests and get the data to us. Now we need to like initialize our word list and our coordinate list. So we'll declare another function for that. This function as well will be like a coroutine. So we'll do suspend fun, and we'll name it load data. Um, Cool. So Azure like gives you, so first it will detect reasons. So it'll like draw a bounding box around reasons. So like paragraphs for instance. And then it'll detect lines, and then in each line it'll detect words. So we'll need 3 for loops. So we'll start with for. We'll declare the function res in um OCR results local dot reason. So we'll extract all the reasons. So for each of those reasons, we'll first detect the lines. So we'll do for um line, name the variable line in um we'll do res dot lines, and for each of the line we'll detect all of the words. So we'll create another for loop. We'll do for word in line dot words. Cool. So now we have each and every word. So we'll start with adding the coordinates. So first we'll create a variable to store our coordinates. Let's call it coords equals to word dot bounding box. So this is a function bounding box. It will give you a string which contains the x and y coordinates and width and height. So the string is separated by commas. So we'll need a list. So we'll call a function split and pass it the delimiter comma. So this will split the string in 4 parts and store it in the value chords. Um, nice. Next we'll need to add them to the list of coordinates. So we'll do list of coordinates. The list of coordinates could be empty, so we need to provide a exclamation mark dot add, and we'll add a mutable list of, so we'll start with, we'll do chords, we'll pass it the x coordinate, then we need to convert it to int, then we'll pass it the y coordinate, that is at the location at the index 1, and we'll do to int. Then we'll pass it the x and y coordinates of the bottom left corner, which is equal to the x coordinate and plus width, and the y coordinate is equal to y coordinate plus height. So we'll do chords 0 dot to int. Then like we'll add this with chords 2 dot to int. We need to do the same for the fourth coordinate, then just copy and paste it. Just change this to 1 and change this to 3. Next, like we'll need to add this word to the list of word as well. So we'll do list of words dot add word dot text. So this is it for our load data function. Now we need to like call the load data and the network request function. To do that, we'll declare another function in our Azure view model. We'll call it fun on image result. So since we have got the image until now, um, here to call the coroutines functions, we'll be calling two coroutine functions. So we'll need to use the library coroutine. Um, and we'll need to pass it a dispatchers. So this we need to pass because like there could be many things, right? I mean, you could you could be using this coroutine to like make network calls, or you could be using it to like do extensive calculations and stuff. For that reasons, there are different dispatchers like dispatches.main or dispatches.io. Dispatches.io is basically to do networking calls. um then you'll need to do launch, and here we'll pass it the function. First we want to like call the network request function, and then we want to call the load data. Cool, so this is it. In our Azure fragment, we'll call this on image result. So go back to like Azure fragment, and here after we have like set this thing, we'll do view model dot uh, on image result. uh Cool, so this is it for now. We need to like get the location. So the condition that I talked about, so we get the coordinates where user has tapped, and then like we check for the condition through, we search through all the coordinates that are in our list of coordinates. If the condition matches, we like find the same we find the word with the same index that was in the list of coordinates and display it on the screen. For that, we'll be creating another function in our Azure view model. We'll do function search. So this function we'll be calling whenever the user taps on the screen. We'll pass it two values, x, the x coordinate of where the user has tapped, it'll be float, and we'll pass it y. This will also be float. Now in for we'll do k in list of coordinates. So we'll be going through each of the list in the list of coordinates. Um, we'll do indices. Um, if this is where we check for the condition, if x is greater than list of coordinates. Actually, I'll just paste this code because like we are really getting out of time now. Um, cool. So what this does is it first checks if x is greater than the x coordinate of the bounding box. If x is less than the bottom left or bottom right x coordinate of the bounding box. If it is, then it goes ahead. Otherwise, like it will just skip it. Then it will check for the y condition. If y coordinate is greater than the y coordinate of the top left corner, and it is less than the bottom right corner of the bounding box. If this is true, cool, this is the selected word. And here we'll break. I forgot to like give it the break statement. It will break and it will set the selected words value to list of selected words. I mean that exact word. Cool. So now we'll need to like add an on touch listener to our image view because like the user is tapping on the image view, right? So there is a function on touch image which will give us the coordinates of x and y. I mean give us the coordinates where the user has tapped. So go back to Azure Fragment, and after like giving setting the on click listener to the launch camera button, we'll do binding dot we'll find the image view first, so it's captured image. We'll do set on touch listener, and to set on touch listener we'll pass a lambda function. um Here we'll start with first calling the view model the search. um Also this function has two variables which are passed to us, so v and event. um we'll do view model dot search. We'll pass it the x coordinate and y coordinate. So the x and y coordinate you can find by event dot x. This is the x coordinate where user has tapped, and event dot y. um cool. Next we'll do some try catch block things. um we'll check if the word is selected or not. And we'll set the text of the text view in our Azure fragment to that selected word. So we'll do binding dot selected word um dot text equals, we'll get the word from the view model dot selected word. um then we'll surround it with the catch block. We'll do exception, and we'll just print the error message. So we'll do e dot print stack trace. Here we need to specify true. Alt enter and click on suppress or add suppress length, something like that. um Also, like since we are accessing internet in our app, we'll also need to specify the internet permission in our manifest file. So go to Android manifest, and here we'll need to specify the user's permission, sorry, um uses permission to internet. um cool. So we are all done with the Azure fragment thing. uh Now let's jump to the actually finding the meaning. So let's start with creating a meaning fragment. So this, we are now creating a fragment which will display the meaning of the word and like the definition and the example. So click on Vision Starter Code, right click New, and go to Fragment, Fragment blank, name it Meaning Fragment, and click Enter. Um, So I'll just remove all the boilerplate codes as usual. We'll just keep on create view and remove everything else. The companion object as well. So we'll be using binding here as well. So again, go to fragment meaning and surround it with layout tag. So we'll do layout and cut and paste these two libraries in the layout tag. Nice. Here also we won't be using frame layout, we'll be using constraint layout. So convert frame layout to constraint layout. Click on convert view and select constraint layout. Um, cool. So we don't need this text view for now. We'll just delete it. Um, now let's design our front end of the meaning fragment. So we start with adding an image for this picker icon. So whenever the user taps on it, there'll be the pronunciation of the word. So the speaker icon I have already included in the starter project. Just go and select image view, drag and drop it, and select the speaker icon from the pop-up. I'll just for once check if everything is fine. Yeah. So here we start with constraining it to the top of the screen. We won't constrain it yet. First let's set its width and height to 75 dp. And its height to 75 dp as well. What is wrong? Nice. So next we'll need a text view to display the word. So click on text view and drag and drop it. We'll set its size to 45 sp. So search size and set it to 45 sp, and we'll set its color to black. So we'll do color and set its value to black. We'll use the font Open Sans. I've already included it. So search for font. Sorry, first I need to select the text view and then search font. Set the font family to Open Sans. Uh, cool. So we'll create a horizontal chain between these two objects. So constrain its left to the left of the screen and right, leave right thing. Constrain the text view to the right of the screen and click on both of these views. Right click, go to chains and click create horizontal chain. Again click on it, go to chains and change the chain style to packed. Nice. This looks nice. Constrain the top of the text view with the top of the parent and the top of the speaker image to the top of the text view. We'll give the text view a top margin of something like 64 dp. Nice. This looks good when I rotate my screen, right? Yeah, this is fine. Cool. So now we need to add the definition and the example for this word. So again, we need to drag and drop two text views. I'll set the text size of this text view to some 25 sp. Text size set it to 25 SP. Um, Set this one's size to 20 SP. I'll constrain this one's top to the top of the text or the speaker icon, and the left to the left of the parent. Constrain this text view to the left of this text view. And it's top to the top of the parent text view. Nice. Next we'll give it a top margin of like 16 dp or something. I think 64 dp would look good, so we'll do 64 dp and a left margin of 16 dp. Set its font size, font family to Open Sans. um and the color to black. We leave the color of this text view and we'll set its font to Open Sans light. So do Open Sans light. Next up we'll add a button to, like, if you want to find another meaning. Consider its and like bottom, give it a bottom margin of something like 32 dp, and I'll constrain its top with this. Okay, no, leave it as it is. Select all three of these and right click and go to chains and click create vertical chain. Again click change style and vertical chain style and click on spread. So this looks good. So this, you have the image view and text view and the definition and example. We are running out of time, so I'll just do it for one text view and leave the rest. So it'll, like, just for now it'll just display the word definition and its example. That's it. Cool. So give an ID to each of these. So this one I'll call word. This one I'll call meaning one. This one I'll call example one. And this one I'll call find another meaning. Set its text to find another cool. So we are done with our front end. Next up, go to Azure view model. There are any error? So go to Azure view model and declare some variables. So I'll just copy paste these variables, and this is the API key and this is the ID. We'll be using something known as OK HTTP client to make the request and, like, to basically, like, do the API call and stuff. Next up we'll add a function. So this function will be doing calling the API, giving it the word and getting the result to us. I'll just copy paste the code and explain you what this code does. So delete this, request import it, um, timber delete it, we'll just print the error message. So do in e.print stack states. So this is the basic URL for the Oxford Dictionaries API. We added with the language, then a backslash, then actually the selected word. The selected word we converted to lowercase, and then we do the request. So to the request object, we first pass the URL, this URL, and we pass the app ID, which was given to us by the Oxford API, the key, and the content type, that we want our result in. So we want JSON. So we'll do JSON and then do build. So then we'll surround these thing in a try catch block. So like if the response, if you get a response or not, if you don't, your app won't crash. You'll just print the error message on your log console on, and then set the result to the response that we get from the Oxford API. So it will be a string. So we are basically converting this JSON thing to a string, a long string. Nice. Next up, we need to initiate this API. For that, we'll declare a function which name as initiate API. This API will be calling our load data. And so since this function is returning a string, we'll set the value of this result variable to whatever is returned by the load data to function. Um, Cool. So now, since right now we are in Azure, like Azure fragment, we need to pass this data to the meaning fragment. For that, we'll do something known as, sorry, my bad. So for that, use something known as safe args. I mean, you can still pass it by bundle, but like I've already included a dependency for safe args. So go to navigation. First, we'll need to like include our meaning fragment as well. So click meaning fragment, drag and drop it, and like make a navigation from Azure fragment to meaning fragment. Sorry. Then we need to specify that this meaning fragment requires some arguments. So click on this argument tab and click on plus icon, and we'll name it result string and set its type to string as well. Click add. Cool. So now if you go to meaning Azure fragment here, we'll navigate. So whenever the user clicks on the find meaning button, we'll navigate. For that, we'll add an on click listener. So so this is our find meaning button. I'll just remove all the timber tags. On navigation, just import the library and do the same for Azure fragment directions. So right now there is no Azure fragment directions. Why? Okay, I guess I need to build the project again. Huh. So go to build and do rebuild project. It will rebuild the project for you and this error will be gone. So what we are basically doing in whenever the user clicks on find meaning button, first we'll initiate the API that we have in the view model, Azure view model. It'll like get all the results for us, and then we'll navigate. To navigate, we'll be using safe arcs. So safe arcs basically, since I have specified that the to navigate from Azure fragment to meaning fragment, we need an argument. If you don't pass it an argument, it won't compile. So that's why it's a good practice to use safe arcs. The Gradle build is running. We'll have to just wait for a couple of more minutes. Um, cool. So the error is now gone. So what we are doing is we are passing this result value to the meaning fragment. Now let's go to the meaning fragment. I'll just copy and paste the whole meaning fragment code because like we're already out of time. Um, just import all these things. Also the source code I'll be sharing on our Discord channel. So like if you want the source code, what? we'll pass it fragment strings. Sorry, result string. Um, Delete the trimmer log files or import the navigation libraries. Okay, so we'll need to declare like direction from meaning fragment to Azure fragment as well. So just drag and drop it again and make a direction. Go back to meaning fragment. This should be gone. I'll just rebuild the project. So like tools, build, rebuild project. So I'll just explain what this code is doing. First, we are inflating our binding, like usually the usual thing that we do. Um, then we are returning the root of this binding thing. Um, then we are parsing the JSON. So I have declared a function here. Function was like function is to like the JSON that we have, the JSON string that we have been passed. Its function is to like get all the definition and the example and the actual word. So this is all that it is doing. So we'll be using JSON object for this thing. So here I'll change it to word and set its text to word, import it and import the JSON thing as well. Cool. So there are no errors now, and so this is it. If I run this thing, it should work fine. So I'll just stream my screen. Just a bit. So I'll just show you if the app works or not. First, like I'll need to run it. So mm, so I'll just run it and cool. So the app is installed. So I'll just tap on the plus icon. So suppose this is the screen. Okay, that screen is not visible. Wait. So I'll just take an image. Okay. Um, Now it'll like do all the Azure things and all. And so after some time, um, if I click on stuff, it displays the selected word stuff, and click on find meaning, and then it like use the Oxford API to display the meaning of the word. Cool. So that's it for the mega session. If you have completed all the 10 tracks of Android study jams, I have included the form link in the description, or if I have not, I'll include it. So if anyone has any doubts, okay, so no one's watching, never mind. Um, I'll end the session here. Thank you, everyone.